Okay, everybody, welcome the 2019 Sacred Journey to Africa with Sam Osmanagic and Michael Tellinger. Thank you for being here, thank you for joining us on this journey, and thank you for being, and welcome for arriving in one of the most amazing sites and one of the highlights on this journey, as we say, sacred sites of Southern Africa, the giant footprint. In my opinion, probably the greatest example of a giant footprint in rock. I haven't seen anything better yet. This is truly a spectacular example of how little we know about our human history, how little we know about geology, and so many other areas of science that are part of the nature of our reality. Very quick history about this footprint. It was first discovered in 1931 by a farmer or a guy around this area called Stoffel Coetzee, who was hunting in this area. Keep in mind, in those days there were no plantations, no forestry here. This was wild animals everywhere. This is why they were hunting here. And there were probably lions and other wild animals and dangerous animals in this part of the world. And they stumbled upon this, and then this spectacular site became obviously quite an attraction and a curiosity among the locals. But this has been well known about by the knowledge keepers and the shamans and the knowledge keepers of ancient African knowledge. People like Baba Credo Mutwa knows this very well. He refers to this as the place where the ogres once used to live. The ogres and the man-eating giants that used to live in this part of the world. And again, this is part of the handed-down ancient African knowledge that people like Baba Credo Mutwa shares with us, that is completely and utterly discarded by mainstream historians and mainstream archaeologists and mainstream media. Here we are. We can't wish this away. Here it is. What's fascinating about it, it's obviously very clearly a footprint. You can't misinterpret this as anything else other than a footprint. The first thing that people look for is how many toes does it have. People that have been studying giants have remarked that many of the giants seem to have had 6 toes and not 5 toes. And many people count 6 toes here and not 5. It's open to interpretation. We have the big toe, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another tiny little one over there, possibly 6. So this might be a 6-toed being, giant. Very interesting. And what I find interesting as well is the way that this foot, whoever made this footprint, the way that when you put your foot into wet mud, it pushes up the mud under your toes and from above your toes. And that's exactly what we find here. This is not a carving, this is real. Now, anyone that studies mainstream geology or archaeology will immediately think, well, how is it possible? You can't leave a footprint in igneous rock. Granite is an igneous rock. It's pushed up over millions of years out of the ground. It's hot and boiling and blah, 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 and you can't leave a footprint in it. Well, those would be the people that haven't done their research. They don't have enough information to figure out why you could leave a footprint in this kind of rock. Because what seems to us as rock may not actually be rock. When you take granite, you crush it up, you extract the gold, extract the metals, extract the material, and you leave it lying around in its wet, cement, concrete-like state, it becomes hard again. It becomes a granite and a solid mass again. I've had beautiful information shared with me by a Canadian gold miner in the Canadian Rockies that claims exactly this kind of thing. It says when they leave the gold mining activity behind in autumn and they leave for winter and leave behind these piles of wet cement concrete like slurry, and when they come back after winter they find footprints of bears and birds and other animals in what they left behind. And now those footprints have become hard. They are in the granite that looks like rock. If anybody finds those, they'd be wondering, how is it possible for bears and deer and birds to leave footprints in the granite? Because it wasn't a solid rock granite to start off with. It was originally a processed material like concrete out of which they extracted the gold. And that is the common denominator here. We have ancient gold mines, we have stories of Anunnaki and giants, the way we have in the Bible and the Sumerian texts, and we have the common denominator called gold, gold mining. I've shared with you already the incredible amount of stories on the gold, how much gold has been mined in southern Africa in the last 120 years, and now we start looking at how much gold has been mined here in the last 100 and 200 and 300,000 years. This giant footprint is a very, very sober reminder that there is a history here, an unwritten history that we know nothing about, and this footprint needs to be cherished and investigated, and we need to investigate this rock to see how much gold is in this rock, or if the gold has been extracted. From my understanding, this granite is reasonably rich in gold, and this is why they wanted to come and mine this for gold and possibly other minerals. So the next step here is to take samples of this and have it analyzed to see how much gold is in here and other minerals in there, and if it is a processed material, if it is not, if it is granite, or if it is a material that's already been crushed and rehardened. One final thing on this. In one of our lectures, while I was talking about the giant footprint, a guy put up his hand and said he works in the glue, in the epoxy business. That's what he does. He's an epoxy chemist. And granite powder is an active ingredient in epoxy glue that helps the glue to become hard. And there we have another important ingredient. So, welcome to the giant footprint. Share this with the rest of the world. This is one of the great ancient sites that should be seen by those who are interested in this part of human history. Thank you very much.